You've heard the whispers. Yellowstone has pressure valves that prevent a catastrophic eruption. But what if everything you thought you knew was wrong? We're diving deep into the science to uncover if these supposed geological safety nets are fact or fiction. Yellowstone National Park isn't just a haven for bison, geysers, and tourists. It's the internet's ultimate doomsday darling. For years, online forums, viral videos, and sensational headlines have painted it as a ticking time bomb, a supervolcano poised to unleash apocalypse-level destruction. At the heart of this hysteria lies the pressure valves myth, the idea that Yellowstone's hydrothermal features, like Old Faithful and other geysers, act as natural release points, venting built-up pressure and staving off a massive eruption. It's a comforting narrative in a world obsessed with end-time scenarios, but as we'll explore, it's more fiction than fact. This belief persists because it feeds into our love for dramatic stories, simplifies terrifying science, and spreads like wildfire across social media. Let's unpack why this myth endures, where it came from, and how it overshadows the real, intricate dynamics of one of Earth's most powerful volcanic systems. Why does the pressure valves myth cling so stubbornly to Yellowstone? For starters, Yellowstone is tailor-made for disaster porn. Hollywood blockbusters like 2012 and countless documentaries portray it as a villain straight out of a sci-fi thriller, with ash clouds blotting out the sun and lava flows swallowing cities. Online, platforms like Reddit and X, formerly Twitter, amplify this. A quick search reveals threads where users debate whether geysers are safety valves, keeping the supervolcano in check. Posts from accounts like Sun Weatherman echo the sentiment. Every time it gains pressure, it releases in the form of geysers or earthquakes or geothermal heat. The volcano is broken. These claims rack up thousands of likes and shares, turning armchair speculation into perceived truth. The myth thrives because it offers reassurance. Hey, at least those geysers are letting off steam, amid fears of a super eruption that could blanket half the U.S. in ash. It's no wonder Yellowstone garners millions of Google searches annually for eruption risk, fueled by real events like the 2024 Biscuit Basin hydrothermal explosion, which sent rocks flying and sparked fresh panic. This persistence isn't new. It's rooted in our human tendency to anthropomorphize nature. We imagine volcanoes as pressure cookers with handy release valves, much like a household appliance. But volcanoes don't work that way. The myth gains traction from misinterpretations of scientific reports. For instance, a 2025 study highlighted a magma cap beneath Yellowstone that vents gases, acting like a natural lid to prevent explosive buildup. Headlines twisted this into "Yellowstone has a safety valve," blending it with the geyser myth. Social media does the rest. A viral YouTube video titled "The Truth About Pressure Relief Valves and Why You Shouldn't Believe the Hype" debunks it, yet the myth lives on, with over 100,000 views. Why? Because fear sells. News outlets capitalize on clicks with titles like, "Is Yellowstone about to blow?" tracing back to exaggerated reports from the early 2000s when seismic swarms hit the park. Forums like Reddit's "R You Should Know" perpetuate it, warning that believing in pressure valves, including Old Faithful, lulls people into false security. It's a cycle. Real science gets simplified, shared, and distorted, keeping the myth alive in an era where misinformation spreads faster than lava. Tracing the origin story of the pressure valves idea reveals it's less a scientific concept and more a product of pop culture and early misunderstandings. The notion likely emerged in the late 20th century amid growing awareness of Yellowstone's volcanic past. The park's last super eruption was 600 to 31,000 years ago, blanketing North America in ash from the Lava Creek Tuff. As geologists mapped the caldera in the 1960s and 70s, public interest spiked, especially after the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption reminded everyone volcanoes are real threats. Early media reports described geysers as venting steam, which evolved into releasing pressure in online discussions. By the 1990s, forums like Usenet and early web boards buzzed with theories. Geysers are nature's way of preventing a big boom. A 2015 USGS article explicitly busted myths, noting that hydrothermal eruptions, like geysers, are more likely than volcanic ones, but don't connect deeply enough to the magma chamber. The myth's roots go deeper into sensationalism. In 2003, a BBC documentary hyped Yellowstone as overdue, ignoring that volcanoes aren't on schedules. How does this belief oversimplify Yellowstone's complex reality? Supervolcanoes like Yellowstone aren't simple pressure systems. They're dynamic beasts driven by deep earth processes. The park sits atop a hotspot where a mantle plume feeds magma into a chamber 5 to 30 miles deep. This chamber is mostly solid crystal mush, not a bubbling cauldron ready to pop. Eruptions require eruptible magma, melt-rich, and pressure from gas buildup, conditions not currently met. Geysers and hot springs, over 10,000 hydrothermal features, operate in a shallow plumbing system, heated by the magma but separate from it. They erupt when water flashes to steam in narrow conduits, not by tapping volcanic pressure. Drilling to relieve pressure? Impossible. It could trigger explosions like shaking a soda bottle. The real safety comes from that 2025 discovered magma cap, a partially molten layer venting gases slowly, keeping the system stable. This isn't a valve like a geyser. It's a geological buffer. Yet the myth ignores nuances. Eruptions depend on magma influx, composition changes, and tectonic shifts, which can ramp up in decades, not days. Hydrothermal explosions like 2024's are surface events from rapid steam expansion, not volcanic precursors. Simplifying this to valves prevent eruption downplays monitoring by the USGS Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, which tracks quakes, ground deformation, and gas, none signaling imminent doom. In reality, Yellowstone's next event is more likely a lava flow or hydrothermal blast than a super eruption. The myth distracts from true risks like those explosions and erodes trust in science. As geologist Jess Phoenix notes, the area's geology, soluble rocks, subsidence, makes interventions futile. Recent anomalies like a new blue pool in Norris Geyser Basin highlight ongoing changes, but they're part of a planetary-scale geothermal engine, not eruption harbingers. Busting this myth doesn't diminish Yellowstone's awe. It's a living lab of Earth's power. Geysers aren't valves saving us. They're windows into a system that's monitored, understood, and far from overdue. Next time a headline screams eruption, remember, science trumps sensationalism. The real story is one of stability, not impending catastrophe.